And now, podcasting from the sun-scorched desert Southwest, weighing in at a combined total of 340 pounds, Brad Winchester, Tyler McDowell-Blanken, are Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell-Blanken. Tyler, it's Sunday. I have Royal Rumble hangover. I am tired. I don't know which was more exhausting, the week before the Rumble, or the presser and the reaction after the Rumble. But we're back. How you doing today?
We're back. There's a lot to dive into. I'm upset today, Brad, and somehow I developed some self-control, and I've been waiting hours to tell you this story. So the sun is back out in Arizona. You know, last weekend was tough for your guys. It was cloudy. It was giving major Seattle vibes, and that's no disrespect to our Washington fan base, but you and I, we just like our sunny weather in Arizona. So anyway, this weekend it's back to be a beautiful high of like 73. It's fantastic. So yesterday, I made some errands. It's not that I had the motivation to go out because I could see the sun. And I did my monthly thrifting. Like 1 weekend a month, I usually go thrifting. There is a Goodwill and a White Dove shop within about a half mile of each other. Have you heard of the White Dove shop, Brad? I think it's a thing here in the Valley, but not elsewhere. Okay. So the White Dove, there's about 4 locations around the Phoenix area. And all the proceeds go to hospice of the Valley, hospice care. Yeah, really cool. So what I usually do, I try to strategize and figure like, okay, I'm going to give 50% of my donations. Because I usually when I go thrifting, my mindset is I'm not just going to go to buy. If I'm going to go, I have to give something as well. So I had a lot to donate this time. I usually give half to Goodwill, half to White Dove. Fair enough. I love what Goodwill does. They've helped my family plenty of times when it came to job training for free and lots of good stuff. And then White Dove, like you said, obviously a great cause. Go to Goodwill. I sent you this pic. I leave with lots of shirts, like 6. It was a total haul. And then I go to White Dove, and I've decided these are the 3 boxes I'm going to donate to White Dove. I got a couple of big ticket items in there, B. I got a nice little jacket with some fake fur on the collar. That's going to move there for sure. And then I'm also donating my Sabrina 1 basketball shoes from last year. Wow, indeed. Big ticket Jones. So I've decided this is what I'm going to do. I get out of my car, right? Again, I already went to Goodwill. Great experience. I'm at White Dove. I get out of my car. I'm going to donate, and then I'm going to walk into the store. So as I'm approaching the donation area with my 3 boxes, I'm greeted by one of their employees who has on, I kid you not, a black 1776 t-shirt. We see these all the time, Brad. It's either the black t-shirts with the American flag on the shoulder, on the arm, right? Or the 1776 in white lettering. It's not the first time I've seen a shirt, but it's the first time I've donated to someone wearing that. When I tell you, Brad, I was just upset, man. It was instant regret. I thought to myself, there's no turning back, though. I can't just go back to my car. I guess I could have, but in the moment, I thought there's no turning back. I have to donate to this guy. I believe in the mission and the work they're doing, but I don't know, man. Maybe all my donations need to go to Goodwill moving forward. I'm not sure. And the worst part, he had the shit tucked in. The 1776 shirt was tucked in. It was tucked into his jeans. I almost snapped a pic for proof for you, but it just didn't work out. I couldn't do it without getting caught. 1776 tucked in. I blessed him with some revenue, some guaranteed revenue. I don't feel great about it, but other than that, it's been a pretty good weekend. I had to get that off my chest. That's not even a promo. That's just what I've been holding in, waiting for this moment, waiting for this episode.
Okay, so I have some follow-up questions. Number 1, was there a cell phone clip on the belt?
Not that I saw. No.
Okay.
No.
Was there a holster?
Oh my God. No, there was no holster. Thank the Lord.
So having it tucked in, those are really the two most common things, I think. Is it possible that this person is a veteran?
Oh gosh. You know, I didn't see anything to indicate that he's a vet. I certainly didn't ask. Um and it's probably 50-50. If he is, far more respect and admiration. I was just so blinded by the shirt and the fact that it was tucked in, Brad. I'm just glad he didn't give me a flyer inviting me to the local Tea Party meeting, because that would have been
Okay. Okay.
that would have been really awkward. I
I,
didn't know, I didn't get much about the guy other than his fashion choices.
I'm not going to lie to you. I have been considering getting a tee, and one of the tees that I almost got had 1776 on it. I've had a 1776 tee. Uh, big fan of America, not of those parties. So I didn't, because we live in a time where celebrating the birth of our nation has become co-opted by usually MAGA weirdos, and I don't want to be associated with something that I'm not a party to. I'm not a party to a party either. I'm an independent, but it's one of those things where it's like I feel like I'm wearing. I might be. What if I'm an animal fan and I have a lion on my shirt and people are like, "Oh, you're a Lions fan," while I go watch the Packers play. I wouldn't want that either. And now I'm at a point now where I'm like, if I show any kind of patriotism whatsoever, it's going to be assumed that I'm something that I'm not. So I just avoid it altogether. Now, that being said, the egregious part to me isn't the 1776. It's the tucking in of a t-shirt. What are we doing? What are we doing
I might
there?
have buried the lead on that. Okay, we can agree that the tuck is questionable.
You can't be tucking t-shirts in 2024. I'm sorry. Like, just what are you doing?
It's yeah,
Like
it was gross.
here's where it's acceptable, when that t-shirt's under another shirt and you don't want the tee sticking out because you're
Mhm,
covering it up on purpose. But
No,
you don't like just,
this was just a choice. It wasn't even a convenience or a thought. It
or
was just, this is what we
or if
do.
it's a safety issue. If
Mhm,
I'm working a job where like you can't have loose clothing because it could be caught in the derrick
mhm.
out on the drill site or something like that, I get that. But you're working at the White Dove.
Yeah,
Like you're not.
yeah, he would, yeah, yes. And then
Yeah,
credit to him, like the brief interaction was cordial enough. He had a lot of donations that day. It gets a lot of business over there, which is cool. So I asked, like, hey, where do you want these boxes? And he said, oh yeah, right there is fine. I said, okay, thank you. He goes, no, thank you. And then and that was it. We didn't talk about the election. We didn't talk about DEI. We just, both parties moved on, and we enjoyed our beautiful Saturday here in AZ.
I do think I am going to get a 1776 shirt. I might get you one as well. And here's what it is. Hear me out. It's George Washington giving the king of Britannia a stunner. It and everything around him is
That's a
is in
thing.
flames. It's a thing. I've seen it before floating around as a meme. Apparently, you can get it printed on a tee. I am going to send you a link. I do feel like if I put any kind of credit card information on this site, my identity is getting stolen. But I
You
did
you
send you
you
a
you
link to
you
the
you,
image. It's
you
incredible.
might deserve that at this point, Brad.
Yeah, but
Um,
it is incredible.
I'm sure I'm gonna hear about how you're doing and your week, but I really want to get into our gut buster from this past week. Let's hit the music.
And now it's time for the Gutbuster of the Week.
I'm gonna lead us on the Gutbuster, Brad. I'm so excited to hear your thoughts on this. Perfect intersection. We got wrestling. We got some funny. Let's talk about the Gutbuster. So I have my notes here. This past weekend actually marked the first annual Remix Rumble. If you haven't searched this, I encourage you to, when you have a moment, search Remix Rumble on social media. You're going to find clips from this. I think their official account actually is at remix.rumble on Instagram. They are a wrestling nightclub. The first annual event took place at the Henry in Toronto last Friday. It's essentially a pro wrestling themed dance party. Simple enough, kind of clever. And it got a lot of publicity, Brad, because the DJ at this first annual was DJ Noof, the artist formerly known as Aaliyah from WWE fame. The reason why this is our Gutbuster is because, again, if you haven't looked it up, please pause this episode right now, look it up, and then make sure you come back to us. We want you to see this clip. The idea seems clever enough, Brad, but the clips we saw, I would say 94% of the attendees were men. Yes. There was a costume element. There was a guy dressed up as Jeff Hardy. There were several dudes with MJF scarves. There were lots of CM Punk shirts. There was a lack of rhythm in some of the dancing that we saw. Here's what I want to say, and then I'm going to pass it to you. I thought about this, and I want to be fair to all parties involved. While being able to breathe the same air as Aaliyah, being in the same room, seems worth the price of admission just off the top.
Fair.
Yes. I think this would be a hard pass for me. I know they're going to be in Philadelphia in April. If they ever make it out to us, Brad, maybe you can invite your 1776 friend to it. I think I'm going to pass on it.
Can't be saying stuff like that in Arizona with the January 6th dude wearing like the wolf head when he's from what, Scottsdale?
Yeah, the shaman.
Yeah, let's not be bringing that up. I don't want to invite those weirdos.
Do not clip this. That was a satirical.
Yeah, it's going to end up being Brad. Maybe you want to bring your 1776 friends, and then I'm going to have people throwing.
It's going to be clipped.
Like a bunch of propaganda through my window with bricks attached to it.
Satire, folks. Thank you.
Would you go to?
Would you?
No, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't even drive by.
Free.
If I drove by it, I feel like I'd get something from it. First of all, they have to change the branding and put a sign out front. They should get sponsored by Johnsonville because apparently sausage is all they do. Number two, holy hell, when you said guys were there, no, Tyler, back that up. What kind of guys were there? Yeah, that's right. It was a sea of white men. It was just an ocean of Caucasian men. So you probably picked that up if you're listening to this. When Tyler said there seemed to be a lack of rhythm, not hard. Although Tyler is an self-admitted from a podcast, probably in our early days, not a good dancer, or at least not a confident one. So, in fairness,
did I say that?
You absolutely said that.
Did I really?
I vividly remember this early on. You're like, well, I'm not a very good dancer either.
There have been a lot of friends in my life who have been better dancers than me. I need to give myself credit.
You should give yourself more credit. You're not that. That is bad dancing. If you are not that, you're fine.
Okay, I need to. Okay, yeah. I've just been friends with a lot of dudes who are just amazing dancers. That's been the issue. But I'm gonna let you please continue.
Yeah. So I think this is something that I've seen more and more and more of, where the roasting is happening, and I'm going back to Taylor Swift and the Kansas City Chiefs game and people dancing to songs and then looking away and then not bringing the same type of energy that should be brought to a song like that, and again looking that way, a little uncoordinated. Here's the best way I can explain this from my point of view. I work at a high school. I have a lot of incredible athletes. And Tyler, you've experienced this too. I know it. There are a lot of incredible athletes. The people that you see running and like play fighting in the hallways on a high school campus are never those. And I believe that group of individuals is what filled that club. And that's all I have to say about that.
I absolutely love this. The part that got me, yes, for what you said, the part that got me final point is when you look at this clip, which hopefully, again, if you haven't, please do yourself a favor and check this out. It's good entertainment.
It's this flailing.
Yeah, and the music.
It looks like people trying to put out fires.
Yes.
It's just.
And there are so many, you and I bonded over this. There are so many wrestling themes that are absolute bops. Yeah. Like I would want to dance amongst my friends and dance well amongst my friends to some of these theme songs. So the idea, I think, is actually like, I'm kind of here for it. But even the venue, I don't mean to rip this spot in Toronto, but I just envisioned more of a legit nightclub. And not that I've spent a lot of my life in nightclubs at all whatsoever. But it was like a banquet hall. It wasn't really a nightclub.
They looked like they moved the tables out of the way at Shooter's Sports Bar.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
like you know what I
wasn't just
mean. Like,
me.
no,
Total
I
Shooters
I
vibes.
saw it. I was like, yeah, that's
That's
definitely
not a
over at
nightclub.
Shooters.
Yeah, that's a banquet.
Probably
That's not
probably
a
next to a Tim Hortons up
yeah.
there.
They had
Yeah,
bingo night there last
yeah,
week.
yeah. Poutine
Y'all are
Fest was there.
y'all are wild for
Yeah,
this.
they're doing that.
Well, speaking of being wild for this, Brad, big show this past weekend in the wrestling world. Probably and arguably our favorite wrestling event of the year.
Yeah.
St. Petersburg, Florida, the Royal Rumble. Where do you want to start?
We got to start before the Rumble. I don't think we can start off without addressing the lawsuit in the room. So Vince McMahon, for those of you that are uninitiated here, Vince McMahon is named in another lawsuit, and the lawsuit is pretty terrible. It is from my understanding of it, from what other people have reported. Other people broke this down that are a lot smarter than me, a lot more informed than I am. This woman signed an NDA. I can't even remember her name. Do you remember her name?
Yeah, I think
JG. I can't remember what it.
yeah. JG works. I think it's Janet. I'll look it up.
Thank you.
Janet Grant,
Yeah, that sounds
something
right.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Apologies for that. Cause I don't remember. I'm not as informed. I'm trying to I saw what happened. I wrote a piece. You can check it out on the podcast page. Links in the description. Because I was trying to focus on the women more than what Vince did. And what Vince did is some of the most egregious stuff I've ever seen. And she did sign an NDA. And the reason that it broke NDA trust is because payment stopped. It was agreed that she would get $3 million. And this was the original NDA payment, or at least part of it, that Vince was paying out of pocket, that the SEC filings were like, that's illegal. You can't do that. If it's a company NDA, it has to come out of company funds. Vince can replenish it however he wants, essentially, but it has to come out of the company. It can't come out of Vince personally. Otherwise, it's not a company NDA. And they halted the payment and never paid her again. So the $2 million that were supposed to come out of that account and go to her never showed up, which violates the NDA. So she released things, is filing a lawsuit against them. And it's not just against Vince, and it's not just against John Laurinaitis, who are named. It's about WWE, the entire WWE LLC. And I think that's really important. And if you want to know the details of it, please read it. I'm not going to talk about it here for a variety of reasons. I don't think it's appropriate to our show, and also I don't want to trigger people because it's pretty awful. It's all alleged at this point, but there are screenshots allegedly of Vince McMahon's phone and text message exchanges of other people, including Brock Lesnar, allegedly in this lawsuit. It's terrible. And I guess we can flash forward a bit post Rumble. I want to know your thoughts on this, Tyler, because I think it was Nick Hausman, John Alba, and Seahawk. Cameron Hawkins was on there. They were the ones that asked the questions, the tough questions that everybody wanted to know. There was another reporter, a female reporter, Emily, something I can't remember off the top of my head, that's getting flamed online for not asking that question to Triple H. And they're jumping on her specifically, which I think the people that are jumping on her are sort of missing the point of why women don't speak up in a space like this, because look what happened when she just didn't ask a question. And it is fair. It is reasonable to criticize her for not answering the question, but she's getting some hate, man. And it's gross. But the point that I wanted to ask you about was Triple H not commenting, saying, I want to focus on the positives, and saying, I didn't read the lawsuit. I haven't looked at the article. I don't know any of those things. And not commenting on that at all, despite being asked. I want to know your thoughts on this, specifically the post Rumble presser.
I have many. I first want to apologize. The woman in the lawsuit, her name is Janelle Grant. So
Thank
officially,
you.
that's yeah, absolutely. Um, I have so many thoughts, Brad. It was nice to see those men in the room that you mentioned, step up and ask the question. For folks giving the journalist was a woman, for them to be giving her a hard time is that's just absolutely disappointing and ridiculous. I was really let down by Triple H's response for him to say, I haven't read the lawsuit. I get the idea of you want to pivot to let's talk about all the success this week, all of the money coming in, all of what's on the horizon, all of the amazing talent that we have on the roster who aren't awful people. Totally get that. But I think the way he handled the questions was a terrible look. He seemed either ill prepared or a bit cowardly in his decision on how to address this. There was a lot of chatter on the IWC, which I agree with. That Cody, I mean, I know this is a big week, big time for Cody. It really seemed like Cody had a much better, much more um, just a better response to
Yeah.
the question, right? It seemed like it came from a more genuine place. It wasn't super corporate. He seemed way less aloof than Triple H did. So number one, I'm still really bothered with the I haven't read it. I want to focus on the positives. What are you gonna do? I think Seahawks question was what are you gonna do to ensure that this doesn't happen
Yes. It
again
was a great
to your
question.
employees? What are the can you speak to any initiatives or and Triple H said, well, I know this is going to be a great answer, but everything, like we're going to do everything possible, everything in our power to make sure this doesn't happen. Again, okay, but
Specifics.
specifics. I think Triple H and the community has a lot of affinity for him. He's done great things in the industry. Um, he didn't meet the moment, right? We talk a lot about meet the moment. I remember coaching freshman boys basketball and us talking about meeting the moment in games. For Triple H, longtime storied Hall of Fame wrestler, he did not meet the moment uh, at that press conference. Really disappointed there. And very quickly regarding the lawsuit, and like you said, some of those just incredibly disturbing details. I think back to if I were a woman, what would my relationship to wrestling be? So if I was a young girl growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, would wrestling have stuck with me the way it has now? If I saw bra and panties matches, mud wrestling matches, um, bikini contests, would I have become a wrestling fan? Or would I have said, this is demeaning, this is not for me, I'm going to find something else to love and pour myself into for years and years and years. So I feel absolutely awful for the woman named in the lawsuit, for the women that have worked for WWE in front of the camera, behind the
Yeah.
camera. The fact that Vince McMahon was able to get away with this for so long, and like any con artist, like any abuser in a position of power, it seems like a classic case where he had enablers all around him. And it's one thing if we're talking about, oh, he has enablers for creative decisions. That's not important at all as compared to what we're discussing here with real lives, real trauma, real women who have been hurt by this man and people who have enabled him. So Johnny Ace was mentioned. Brock Lesnar appears to be implicated in this. Uh, it feels gross. I feel sad. I feel angry, and I'm I'm just so sad that this went on for so many years unchecked. Uh, and I want to pass it to you now. When we look back at the Vince McMahon character, though, Brad, it's not a huge shocker that he was an awful person and was harming women. He sexualized, and all the clips are now resurfacing, right? So, like, I saw this in 2000 as a young kid, but now it's hitting different. The clips of Stephanie McMahon, his
Yes.
own daughter, being really hypersexualized on camera. We remember the infamous Vince McMahon and Trish Stratus, where Trish had to bark like a dog.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wow, it's not like this is a huge shocker. Who, like, we can't believe this man did this. it seemed like he was giving us these hints on camera, which feels even more insidious and feels even grosser. And
Agreed.
um, I it just makes me so sad.
I think the hard part while you're talking, I was also trying to figure this out, but he's the chief content officer. Here's what the official WWE corporate website says for that position. As chief content officer, Levesque oversees the company's creative writing, talent relations, that's the important one, live events, talent development, and creative services departments. Brad Bloom is COO. Nick Khan is president. Outside of talent relations, the Cam question is the one that he should have been able to answer immediately. As part of talent relations, you should be the one that is in charge of making sure safety happens and that organizational things happen, or at least having pieces and people in place for that to happen. The part that got me was that Vince almost it feels like it's circumvented all of those things because Miss Grant was in a position of need at the time. She was living in an apartment complex where she was taking care of her parents, and they died and left a bankruptcy that ended up landing on her, and she needed to find a job. She happened to live in the same apartment as Vince, and they suggested to talk to Vince McMahon to get this job, and immediately the job was for sex. And later on, she ended up giving her a position in the company, but also continued that relationship, and then we know what happened there. But basically, it was coercion. I'll help you out if you do these things, which is terrible. But that happened outside of the actual WWE. It happened within this private sphere and then got brought into the WWE because it could. But it means that person then never goes through that system, and it bypasses all those potential checks and all those potential safety things because it went directly to Vince. And keep in mind, this is way before the merger and even the talk of sales. So when I was thinking about those questions, I was like, Brad Bloom or Nick Khan are the ones that need to have those questions addressed to them. Triple H could have simply said, it's a legal matter. I'm not allowed to talk about it. So I'm going to focus on the Royal Rumble. And everybody would have been like disappointed, but it would have been, all right, it's a legal thing. And I understand why he would do that. But I also know that it would be a bad look. But if it's Triple H Vince McMahon and his associates are who they're looking into, it's a son-in-law. It's kind of hard to not look at that as an associate, but I know that they mean like Bruce Pritchard, John Laurinaitis, probably Kevin Dunn. I know those are the people that they're talking about, but man, it's a bad look. If you would have just said no comment, or I'm not allowed to comment at this time, or due to legal reasons, I've been advised not to say anything. Nobody told him anything. It's kind of a disastrous look for the PR department to not prep him on these questions, to not say, if you don't know, just don't respond. He went in there and went, I have no idea. I didn't bother to look. And it's like, this is maybe the biggest, most paradigm shifting thing to happen. And it's on the heels of a Netflix deal that, like if that voids any part of their contract or their agreement, could be disastrous. They almost lost the Slim Jim contract. And for those listening, you might be like, all right, well, who cares? It's Slim Jim. They've been partners with them for 40 years. It's not a new partnership. The Slim Jim partnership, I think, predates Savage. So it's crazy to think that they were going to lose tons of money because of somebody that doesn't work there anymore. And the only way to get rid of him entirely was get him off the board, have Vince McMahon not be any part of it at all. And then Slim Jim was like, all right, we're willing to step back into it on the basis that these things are going to change. And I think it was all TKO's doing. So my guess is that Andrew Schleimer, who is I don't know if I said that, Schlemmer maybe, the TKO chief financial officer, was probably doing a lot of work to preserve those partnerships this weekend, or somebody working for him, because that's a big blow to their revenue if they lose sponsorships. And we do know that it was reported, I can't remember who it was, but it was reported that one sponsorship that hadn't even been named yet had already pulled out because of the Vince McMahon news. So it was not a good look at the presser for anybody, really. Nobody looked good on the WWE side, except maybe Cody Rhodes, who can comment on that because he's not in charge of day-to-day operations. So how would he know about any of those things? He can easily go, man, that's really disappointing. That's terrible. And also we have a really good locker room that supports each other and all that stuff. But again, I keep coming back to this thing. I love that he said that. Doesn't that sound amazing? This woman wasn't talent. Triple H is in charge of this position. So the question needs to go to who's running TKO now, who's running WWE for TKO, because it happened in an office without talent. Triple H doesn't really have anything to do with this outside of being related to him. So I do feel like the questions were probably unfairly aimed at a person that didn't oversee any of that. But at the same time, you are his relative. You work directly with him for creative. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know how to feel about it because I think people are asking the right questions to the wrong people.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think back to your piece on the site on gimmickinfringementpod.com, where you so thoughtfully, so eloquently laid out not only the facts about what's going on, but how this is a constant internal conflict for wrestling fans. We just spoke about this a few weeks ago, Brad, with Chris Jericho and that World's End show in New York, and the what do we know, what do we not know, how does this impact who we watch and who we support. I guess the final thing I want to say is something I'm learning with age and hopefully wisdom. These are lessons that have been given to me, certainly in previous years from family and mentors and other folks. I think as men, we really do have a responsibility to do good work, treat people well, and don't harm others. Like whatever we do, actively avoid harming other people, especially the women in our lives. I think for too long we've just seen so many examples of women and at times maybe actively engaging in this mindset. I know I've been guilty of that, just treating women as anything but our equal counterparts. They're disposable, they're X, Y, and Z. And it's like, man, Vince McMahon seems to have been the worst example of this. He was literally living the evil Vince McMahon gimmick.
Yeah.
It would seem, but this isn't just a character on screen. These are real life people. This is a real life woman who was harmed by him. And I just think as men, like I keep coming back to in our own lives, it's so important to not harm other people. Do not harm others. Like whatever you do good work, find a good career, treat people well, and don't harm others, especially the women in your life, because it's like I said, man, it just feels so gross. And I can already get over the, WWE is the one of the biggest donors to a certain political figure who's in the news, who my values don't align with. Like I can sort of wrap my mind around like that. I'm not going to let that affect my enjoyment of the product. And definitely, I'm not going to let it impact my support of the talent. But when it's this lawsuit, when it's this behavior that was encouraged, that was enabled for years and years and years. And I think of the women that saw this or the women that also were harmed that maybe we don't know about, my heart just breaks. And it's a reminder to myself, like, again, treat people well, apologize, do no harm, learn, and hold other men accountable, because this is just nasty, nasty stuff.
Yeah. And I think it's not to get all sappy here, but like God, I think about what if this was my daughter. It's different when you have kids, man. It's just different, and it's thinking that this was somebody's kid. Obviously, we know her parents passed, but it's still disturbing, and world's scary, man. I don't really have any cogent, coherent thoughts that can follow, because everything makes me kind of sick to my stomach to even talk about, and I'll simply never understand it. But we did have something positive come out of the week. We had the Royal Rumble. Tyler, the Royal Rumble, the event itself, I've seen a lot of mixed reactions online. Now, I think we had Bayley coming out of the Rumble. as winner, and really happy to see that she won the women's rumble. You got your wish. I didn't think they'd pull the trigger. We got Jade Cargill in there.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Star making performance for her. She looked super strong. She single-handedly eliminated a monster in Nia Jax, who also looked great last night.
It's perfect.
I don't agree with some of the stuff that she thinks. Well, 99% of it, but her return has been incredible. She's been great since she's been back. I think this was probably the best match of the night. I think the Women's Rumble was the best part of the show. I thought that the Fatal 4-Way might steal it from everybody, but then it turned out to be a Roman Reigns match where one of the Bloodline who gets, it's either Roman or the member that interferes in the match is going to go head first through that barricade to the left of the announce table. Our right, as watching it toward the hard cam, it's always going to go through that barricade because it's a Roman match. So why wouldn't you do that? But the biggest star in the match, the person that walked away from that match is the biggest star, in my opinion. Of course, I want to say Jade, but I don't think it was. I think it was Jordynne Grace. Jordynne Grace looked amazing. It was sort of her WWE coming out party. She was introduced to a huge audience. I think it's an absolute dub for TNA people who now you have a reason to go watch because she looked like a star. I have a feeling when her contract is up, she will not be TNA bound again. I believe her to be going to the WWE. Triple H seemed pretty enamored with her performance at the press conference. We know Jade was already a star coming in. And I did think that, who was it? I thought it was really funny. Somebody put it out there. It was like, you're leaving AEW or TNA or something, so you can't use your name. Oh, it was Brian Pillman Jr. It was, we're going to change your gimmick and change your name and make it Lexi King. You can't do that. And then 10 seconds later, it's Jade Cargill. It's Jade Cargill, and her presentation's exactly the same. Even the logo looks almost identical. Everything is exactly the same. And then we have Lexi King with his, what did somebody say? He looked like he went to a Dominican barber for his haircut. I thought that
it's something. It's definitely something. Yeah,
totally different. Accurate. But Jade looked like a star. The face off, people were popping for it. It's what we wanted between her and Bianca. I will say this. This is not shitting on the talent because I can't imagine being in there. There was a lot of sloppy stuff that happened in the ring in this match. But all of it, here's why I was kind of good with it. It's a struggle. It's supposed to be a struggle. So the stuff that didn't happen was like a choreographed, I'm going to pick you up and swing around you kind of thing. But the women sort of like just hit each other after the miss or whatever, and just kept going, which is what you have to do. You screw up a line, you screw up a thing, you got to just power through it, keep going. And I love that they made it just look like a struggle because wrestling's supposed to be a struggle. It's a fight. So I really appreciated that. Like, even though it didn't go perfectly, I'm not going to say who it was. I don't want to poop on a talent here because it happened a few times throughout. It was, oh man, that didn't work. Let me audible and I'm just going to hit you and make it look like you were trying to fight out of it. And then we'll keep going. And I really love that about this match. So I don't know if it was my favorite Women's Rumble match ever. I still think back to Rhea and Bianca being the final two multiple times, and man, those were incredible. Some of my favorite matches happened when nobody was there. That's the thing that sucks. It's like, imagine if those Thunderdome Rumbles had fans. I think it would have been so different. Or the PC Rumble, just totally different vibe. I love this match. I thought this was the match of the night for me. What'd you think?
Wow. Yeah, and ironically, this was the same site as the Thunderdome.
Yes.
Was it not?
Yeah.
Tropicana.
Wow. Yeah, except without the giant Thunderdome thing above.
Precisely.
Yeah. And all the TVs.
This was exactly. This was my match of the night. I remember signing up to be in the Thunderdome and never getting it.
That's right. Yeah.
My memories aren't as fond as yours, but it's totally not related to the content. It's just me not getting the call back. This was my match of the night as well. First and foremost, Bayley. I agree with you, Jordynne Grace. Absolute star, great use, great for TNA. For Bayley to finally get such a big moment, her first Rumble victory. Great choice. I know you and Cedric, our last episode. Shout out to Cedric D. Welton. Follow him at said, I think underscore says on X. Really great dude who writes for Daily DDT. You guys predicted Bailey, and I thought that was a great prediction. I went with Jade. So although I wasn't correct in terms of her winning, the fact that we got her, she debuted, it made me so happy. You laid it out, B, the face off with Bianca, and the fact there were a lot of good moments tonight with very cerebral camera shots. The fact that they shot the Jade and Bianca face off with the WrestleMania XL sign clearly, WrestleMania 40 clearly in the background, my mouth was watering that we could actually get that match this year. Did you take it the same way, that that's clearly that's the direction for WrestleMania for both of these ladies?
I feel like it has to be. I don't know.
Right?
It's enough time in between where they can have a lot of promos and not do a lot of in-ring stuff, so that I know the feeling was that she wasn't quite ready for being in that spot, and they wanted to polish her in-ring work a little bit. I think that if she was ready to do the Rumble tonight, and she looked great, and they didn't really change her, which is what I appreciated. I think by WrestleMania, she'll have, 3 more months of prep time, or 2.5 more months, whatever it is, of prep time. I think it has to be. And I think nobody's going to be mad that it's Jade Cargill versus Bianca Belair for no belt.
No.
Nobody's going to care about that because it's going to rule.
Absolutely. Way too early prediction. Does Jade go over?
But yeah. Yeah. I think so. Or it happens earlier. Who wouldn't want to see Jade and Bianca mix it up in the ring in the Elimination Chamber?
Wow.
Imagine Jade just standing there like a beast in the corner, just arms crossed the entire time.
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
Oh, so man, that I'm just this match was going to be my match of the night, just off the strength of that face off happening. When we had our fantasy draft last year, we had Matt from That's Freaking Wrestling.
Yeah.
That my whole strategy going into that fantasy draft was, how do I secure Jade and Bianca on the same roster to get that dream match? So the fact that it seems to be a reality now, that we're going to see it this year, it just makes me so happy. This is my match tonight. Big shout out to Bailey. I'm so happy she finally got her moment on the main roster. Her being in a prominent title match at Mania just feels so good for that woman. Chelsea Green was incredible. I was thinking of you.
Oh God, that was so
I was
good.
thinking of you as I was so watching her, because given your thespian background, Chelsea having the spot where she keeps getting hit by people when you think she's done, she has no chance, that she gets hit again or someone falls on her, and the interaction with her tag partner Piper Niven. Chelsea Green is an absolute treasure, and she was one of my stars. Finally, Liv Morgan coming back, Roxanne Perez and Tiffany Stratton looking like they fit in perfectly. I can't wait to see what they do. They're so young, they have so much potential, and it already seems like they fit in on such a big show like this. This is my match of the night easily.
I thought it was funny that Sarah Logan, Valhalla, and her Dirty Feet got eliminated almost immediately because of R-Truth running into the ring, being confused. Did you happen to see the Adam Pearce backstage segment?
No, I haven't.
Dude, it's the best part of the night. It's after it happened, they brought him back, and he's like, "Why did you tell me to go out there last night? Why was he?" He was like, "I never told you. You think I told you to go to the women's Rumble?" And he's like, "Yeah. What happened to your hair?" And he's like, "That was Nick." And he stares at him for a second and goes, "Mysterio?" It's just incredible. You need to see it. I probably watched it 4 or 5 times, because it ends with Pierce going, "I need a drink," and walking off. Just amazing. To tie it all together backstage. R-Truth was my MVP yesterday.
Future Hall of Famer. He's secured it. He secured it realistically years ago, Brad, but he's hitting home runs every time now.
Yeah, between entering the women's Rumble. Oh, that's also, he's like, "You're telling me those were all women out there?" Was also great in that interview backstage. It was just great. He gets tossed right away. Huge, hilarious moment between him and Chelsea Green, lightening it up in the ring on top of all the carnage, giving us different flavors throughout. so it's not one note, is something that I really appreciated. Chelsea looked great. R-Truth was hilarious. I thought it was a great showing for all the women. I thought everybody got to look strong. Jordan Grace looked super strong, literally, metaphorically speaking, in the match because Bianca got her, but had to kill her with a KOD on the apron to stop her, to get her eliminated. So I thought that was great. Yeah, man, well, I'm with you. I can't say enough about this match. I'm probably going to watch it again later on, just because I loved it so much. Our next match was the Fatal 4-Way. Roman retained. I don't really have anything to add.
I'm not going to have a lot for these next two matches. I do want to say, I do this all the time. I do want to give some flowers to the returning Naomi, formerly TNA's
forgot.
Trinity. There's so much that's been going on.
There's so much that
I
happened.
don't blame you at all. It just clicked in my mind like, oh yeah, that's also the last note I wanted to add. Her homecoming, her getting the number 2 entrance spot, so we could see the classic
thunderous applause
in Florida. It also made me so happy, and clearly she had a reaction to it, and she's always had a great connection with the audience. I also love that, and can't wait to see what she does now in her new run with the company. So that makes me happy. What doesn't make me happy?
Yeah.
Another predictable Roman Reigns match. I'm such a mark.
It's so formulaic.
When the music plays, when he comes out with all of the what do your students say, Brad? With all the Riz, when he comes out with all the
coming
I don't think I've ever said that out loud before. When he comes out with all the charisma, when Paul Heyman, I'm the person watching the TV putting my one up. So I get it. He is the man. But this was another Roman Reigns match where Solo breaks up a near fall. Like you said, it was clear that AJ Styles is going to move out of the way. Solo was going to run into the barricade, and then that's how Solo's eliminated. Super predictable that Roman was going to get the win. I know a lot of people talk themselves into this is where Roman could drop the title, and then that gets us to Roman versus Rock. No title needed at Mania. People were playing themselves. I respect the effort, but there's no way Roman was going to drop it. I hate the trope of a member of the bloodline running in to ensure Roman wins. All these dudes are awesome and big time main event players. It was cool to get a fatal 4-way because we haven't had that during the Roman Reigns title era, but it was a match that occurred. I don't have much else to say about it. These guys are all very talented.
Yeah, I love all of them. I think they're great. I think they deserve better than that. I did
Especially
like
LA Knight. Get this guy a title.
Yeah, I know.
He's the most over guy on the roster, not named Cody Rhodes. What are we doing?
Yeah, and I have thoughts about that too. I still don't get it. The next match of the night, Logan Paul defeated Kevin Owens by disqualification. One of the 3 people that ran out to help Logan Paul during the match, including Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, who John Cena was right. Feels like John Cena was right. This is rough for what Austin Theory is doing here. Feeling bad for him, but Logan Paul gets slipped the brass knucks. Kevin Owens takes them off and uses himself. He's pinning Logan Paul. The ref sees them, disqualifies Kevin Owens. And then I believe Michael Cole yelling out, "Oh, Kevin Owens got screwed," is one of the dumbest calls I've heard. When he knowingly put on brass knuckles and punched him in the face with them, is not getting screwed. He cheated. He could have thrown him out the ring and then beat his ass normal style, but he used brass knucks to win. He cheated. It's over. They're probably going to run it back at Elimination Chamber. That's my guess. And I wouldn't be mad at that. I thought it was a good match. Watching Logan Paul punch Kevin Owens' hand over and over again was awesome. I think Logan Paul looks great. I think his buckshot lariat did not. But that's it. I got nothing to add.
I've been thinking about what I want to say in regards to this match. I'll start with I am so over the Logan Paul US title run. The fact that we got another Logan Paul flunky playing a role in this match. What's this guy's name? Jameson? Jeff?
Yeah, that's it's like, oh, it's this guy again. And it's like, exactly. If you have to say it's this guy,
He's not
and
been
nobody
on.
knows who he is.
He's not been on TV since interfering in the Rey Mysterio match, which got Paul the title, and they stayed on him so long. Brad, remember there was a WWE official that said, "Hey, dude, you can't interfere in this match. You
Yeah.
got to go." And then 2 security guards come and try to apprehend this guy. So at this point, there are 3 WWE staffers trying to eliminate this dweeb from interfering, and it just stayed on him for so long. Like
Yeah,
you said,
really annoying.
Waller in theory come out. The brass knuckles come into play. KO gets disqualified. I'm so over Logan Paul. He's athletic. He does some cool moves, but there are just so many other people I want in this prominent position. This guy encourages people to invest in crypto and is selling a sugary drink that is harming kids and adults across the country. Even though it's clearly marketed to a younger audience, he's to me he's a net negative. He can do cool athletic feats that I wish I could do. Yes, but he's a net negative to me. I want him to drop to LA Knight at WrestleMania. And this was my least favorite match of the night. I'm not interested in I'm not interested in it anymore. I'm over it. I don't want a rematch at Elimination Chamber, even though I agree with you that that's probably the route they're going to take. This match wasn't for me. Logan Paul isn't for me, and I have to continue to come to terms with that. He gets eyeballs on the product. He has a huge following. He has a huge podcast. Somehow, he's not it for me. He's an acquired taste. Doesn't speak to me. This is my least favorite one, Brad. I felt my heart rate going up when I was thinking about what I was going to bring to this episode with regard to discussing this match. I can't stand it, Brad. I can't. I want LA Knight to be about in April. If that doesn't happen, I don't know what I'm going to do. I just don't know. I'm just gonna have to lay out and let you talk about Logan Paul title matches. I get it. I understand the purpose of him having the gold, but this match, in many ways, like Roman, it fell into the trope of let's have Logan Paul's Goonies come out here and he's going to end up retaining somehow. Now, watching Logan Paul get powerbombed through a table, that's enjoyable. That some dopamine was released when
The
I
post
saw
match
that.
stuff was cool. Like
The post match, yeah,
that's why I think they're going to run it back.
they're going to run it back, and Logan Paul is going to beat Kevin Owens in some sort of no DQ ladder match, which on its face seems absurd. So I had more to say than I thought, Brad. This was good.
Yeah, I was going to say
thank you for listening.
I think you went longer than I did, and that's saying something because I'm long-winded.
That was cathartic for me.
We're at the final match and at 52 minutes into this podcast and almost halfway through it. Cody Rhodes won again. Now, I did not pick Cody to win this match. As soon as the night started, I knew Cody was going to win. I didn't say it to you. I went dark. I stayed off texting. You can't say there hasn't been a back-to-back champ in 26 years, 45,000 times through a broadcast, and not expect us to know what you're going to do. Like, you're laying it on there pretty thick. You could have said it after he won, saved the surprise, but they haven't done it in this long. And it's like, that's not making us doubt it because you said it that many times. Because they kept going back to it. Like, Cody Rhodes still in the match. There hasn't been a back-to-back champ in 26 years, not since Stone Cold Steve Austin. We get it. Relax. We know he's going to win now. Just shut up. I love Cody Rhodes. I need to say this because I'm about to bury him. Okay. I love Cody Rhodes. I do not get the appeal at this scale. I do not understand why he's this popular. None of it makes sense to me. Not a single bit of it makes sense to me. I don't know why they're all cheering for him. I think he looks clunky. I like his big ass feet flopping around in there. I don't think he looks like a star. He's got a American skull neck tattoo shaped like Texas. Nothing about it says I appeal to the masses. Not a single bit of it. The dyed hair, all of it. I'm happy for Cody. I don't know how this happened when he was so stagnant in WW or AEW, and now he's this in WWE. I don't get it. I just don't understand how I say it. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. I just saying I don't understand it because I watched him in AEW where he was a turd for the entire run that I watched him in there for. And then like put out banger matches and stuff, but like he's just sort of awkward. And now he's like the face of the company outside of Roman Reigns. And I just don't understand how that happened. And I think it's because of his authenticity that he seems like a legitimately good person, like legitimately good person. I just don't get it because he's like not any of the things I would ever expect a WWE superstar to be as a face of a company. Like think about the faces of the company over the last 40 years. It's not Cody Rhodes. Nobody that looks like Cody Rhodes is a face of that company. I just
we're thinking John Cena, Stone Cold,
John Cena, Stone Cold, The Rock, Hogan.
We haven't even talked.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Hogan. I wanted to bring him up.
He was also,
but like you know what I mean. Like he's just not the mold, and maybe that's what we need. But in a time,
I think so.
Okay, but hear me out. Make it make sense to me. What was your experience like at the White Dove, and why is that different when you see his robe? He is like the embodiment of what you were just saying. That made you uncomfortable. Like the guy is dressed,
I should have brought up Cody Rhodes to the White Dove guy. Yeah,
he is dressed
tonight. How do you feel?
He is dressed as an American flag with gilding on it, and he's wearing like soldier general, like the little poofy shoulder things with the little things that hang, the tassels that hang off.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And he's got a Texas neck tattoo with red, white, and blue and a skull on it. Like if you were to never have seen Cody Rhodes in your life, and then somebody goes like, look at this guy, you'd be like, hell nah, no chance of I supporting this. 0% chance. That is the face of your company, and everybody loves him. And I really like him, and I don't get how he became the face because he just looks like he's not going to appeal to the masses. Just by the very sight of that man, looks like it. And I love everything that he did last night. I love a Cody Cutter.
This is fascinating. I need time to process it. Number one,
you're a huge Cody mark.
I am a Cody guy. Yeah, absolutely.
Everything about him screams that you wouldn't be, specifically you.
Point taken. I need time to process. This may be one of the first, like, we're going to kind of give a teaser and then follow up on this. But I'm going to say my initial thoughts are, I agree with you about the authenticity. And so much of it is, it's twofold. It's one, people's affinity for Dusty Rhodes, or just even the idea. I could
or an underdog, right?
100%. I don't have to have watched every Dusty Rhodes match for a guy speaking about his father in such great terms for that to resonate with me. So I think it's Dusty, and it's the finishing the story, which is we're going to see a lot. That's going to probably be one of the taglines of WrestleMania, apparently. And then it's also, to your point, it is the underdog. I think so much of it is how he left WWE, what he did in his time away, and now that redemption arc. So it's the underdog. It's a redemption story. We know, Brad, we talk about media off air and on air all the time, stories, movies, everything. That redemption story, it spans generations. We want to root for someone who is fighting their way back and fighting their way to the top. So that I think that's all a part of it. And you're right. I am a Cody guy. That's so interesting that you brought it back to the beginning of the episode. That's tough. That was really well done by you. He's an underdog. He's on his redemption story. He loves his father. I think it's a mix of a lot of factors. Why Cody is unquestionably, he is the face of the company now. And post WrestleMania, if we're living in a world where he defeats Roman, which I'm not certain, I'm not going to be played again. If we live in a world where that happens, unquestionably that is the coronation. Triple H spoke glowingly of Cody at the presser. That was something I did enjoy hearing. Is he just seemed to recognize, like, yeah, Cody's the guy. He's special. He is the face. Yeah, as a Cody fan, I'm excited for that for sure.
I think the thing that I think of is when I see him jump off the ropes to do a Cody cutter, it always just looks like awkward and weird, and he sticks it. He's Jokic. It looks like it shouldn't work at all.
That's his NBA comp, huh?
Right. Well, I mean, think about it. Like, it looks awkward, or maybe Wemby. It just looks really awkward. It never looks super smooth, athletic wise, and yet he connects. I think it's his acting ability, it's his facial expressions, and what he does in the ring that really sells it. He's just like that next level up. But our last entrance in the men's rumble was a person that I would give is probably a pretty close comp to the story. Sami Zayn never left. He never rediscovered himself, and he doesn't have a famous father, but he hasn't won the big title. He's been grinding to win the big title. He's an underdog that everybody cheers for, but will never be the face of the company. Where Cody Rhodes is, he has that, I don't know what it is. I wouldn't mind Sami being the title holder in the face for a while, but Cody Rhodes is definitely a person that can carry himself. He's also somebody that's like just great in front of a camera, right? Like, no matter what he does. I love listening to Cody Rhodes. I just think it's crazy, his ascension. Like, and I don't understand what happened. I'm not even saying he doesn't deserve it. I'm not saying that I don't like Cody. I love Cody. I'm saying I don't get how it happened so quickly when there's all of these reasons for it not to happen at all. And that's what I don't get, because he's sort of universally beloved.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that happened, because it doesn't happen to anybody.
Right.
Like, nobody.
It's really been stratospheric. I'll just quickly share a poll that we put out online at GIPod19. The topic here was, it seems like we all agree the women's rumble was a hit. We asked, what did you think of the men's rumble, including Cody earning back-to-back victories? There were 4 options. A, loved it all around. B, good execution, good move. C, felt average to me. D, I didn't like it. Brad, good execution, good move came in first place, receiving 53% of the vote. Underneath that, at 24%, was felt average to me. 18% of our respondents selected I didn't like it. 6% voted loved it all around.
I didn't vote. Didn't even know it was out there. I'm going to go ahead and vote real quick.
It just closed. Actually, we had a 12-hour poll.
All right, well, there it is.
That happened. But no, man, great to see Andrade back. I thought Pat McAfee being an entrant was a total waste. I won't go long on that. Pat McAfee and Logan Paul, it just gives me major frat boy energy, and maybe that's my issue. Is that just, I guess I just have a visceral reaction to those kind of people. Maybe it's back to being an RA and working in dorms and learning about frat life. I don't know, just not for me, man. Cody winning, I'm intrigued. Like you, Brad, I just hope this is the year where he finishes the story, where he gets it done. If they have this man lose to Roman Reigns in Philadelphia, I don't know what words I'm going to have.
I do think that some notable things here. I didn't mind McAfee doing it. They did the Bradshaw with him getting off of commentary and heading up to the ring, and Bradshaw immediately getting eliminated and back to commentary. They did the same thing, but I liked McAfee getting in there, seeing Braun Breaker and Omos and being like, nah. And then like going back in and then going, actually, no. And then dumping. I popped for it. I'm going to admit that. There were some moments in there where Ivar came out. I was watching with my in-laws. Ivar came out, and my mother-in-law looked at him and was like, oh my God, that guy is huge. And then saw him do like a high spinning heel kick at somebody and went, what? And then just dove at somebody, and they were like doing crossbodies and stuff. Could not understand how athletic he was. And then it's like, that guy is bigger than anybody. He's probably going to win. And then Omos came out. Braun Breaker, reports came out. I think it was Wrestling Observer said that he fulfilled the Brock Lesnar role. We know Brock was supposed to be in there, and he basically eliminated the people that Brock was supposed to eliminate and filled that role beautifully, I might add. Huge pop from the crowd for him. Um, and being eliminated by Dirty Dominic Mysterio was amazing. I loved it. People were so mad about it. And they were like, he was going to eliminate Brock. Imagine how awesome that would have been. That, like, he already has nuclear heat. Let's make it worse by having him eliminate a monster. Loved every second of it. Braun Breaker afterward, I believe he was quoted as saying he's here to stay now. I think that might have been his official call up into the main roster. I hope so. We've been clamoring for it for like what seems like 2 years now. Carlito was fun. Pulling the apple out was great, and spitting it in was it Escobar's face? I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, that's right. I thought we were gonna get Ty Dillinger returning.
So did I.
I was a little, and I didn't even realize it was maybe 10 seconds into Carlito's entrance where I realized, oh wait, that was the 10 spot. We're not getting Sean Spears. We're not getting Ty Dillinger here.
I was disappointed.
It was disappointing, but the apple was funny. Yeah, he spit that into Santos's face.
I do think it is a testament to, and then we can move on. A testament to TNA, their roster, their women's roster being so deep that they're continuously asked to send talent over to the Royal Rumble, that they're willing to work with them. But I think it's sad that we haven't seen this in the men's Rumble, that we haven't seen like a Josh Alexander or even an independent wrestler that has WWE experience. Would have loved to have seen Matt Cardona come out, not Zack Ryder, but Matt Cardona.
Speedball Mike Bailey going back to the TNA roster.
And there was a lot of talk about wrestling themes, not being recognizable enough for people to hear it and immediately have a reaction to it. Well, Andrade came out. The first thing it said was El Idolo. And I don't remember that being part of his thing before. It probably was, and I don't remember it. But he very clearly came out with his AEW presentation as Andrade, and people were like, "Whoa, what's that? That person I haven't seen before." It wasn't until he pulled his mask off that the crowd popped when they were like, "Oh, holy crap, that guy's back!" And it made me a little bit sad that they didn't know what they were getting in there, because he's going to be great. My fear is that reaction is going to create a let's put him on the mid card forever response, or have him tag team or fight LWO or be in the LWO. I just don't want it to happen.
Which was a criticism of him in AEW,
right?
Was exactly. That he's kind of toiling in the mid card scene when clearly he checked so many boxes of a main event talent. And I'm sure I would imagine he felt that way internally. Like, hey, no, I'm in my prime. I'm sacrificing my body. I'm going through flaming tables. Speaking of Cody Rhodes bangers, yeah, I agree with you, Brad. Yeah, I really hope that. I mean, I see him as a main event talent in any company. I hope he's not stuck in the mid card.
I love JD McDonough in the match, getting killed outside the ring and then getting thrown in by Truth to get eliminated right away.
Yeah, and him and
Truth
Braun
trying to tag in.
Yes. That was well done.
All of that was great. I thought the Miz looked awesome in there, no pun intended. Damian Priest immediately murdering R-Truth was great. Your boy Ricochet, when he came in, I looked at my in-laws and said, so he's not going to win, but he is going to get thrown 50 feet by somebody. And that's basically what happened. We didn't talk about, final thought from my end, Drew McIntyre kicking out one of Cody Rhodes' teeth in the middle of the match. I don't know if you caught it live. But yeah, Cody was on the mat and you could very clearly see a bloody tooth sitting in front of him. Yeah, Cody lost a tooth last night, got knocked out of his face from a Claymore.
This is why we love him. The tenacity it takes.
I loved all the chopping. I love that they had a chop off with bodies. Him and Gunther was great. Let's just you can Haas harder. It was just great. Well, was it Cody and CM Punk? I think were the brunt of the torture in there. I love that, man. I love that CM Punk was getting booed and he started leaning into it. Give me that, please. I want heel CM Punk in WWE. I want him to be just dreadful as a person. Have him be that. I think that will do a lot for him. So it was good. It wasn't my favorite Rumble match. I'm not down on it as the way that a lot of people were, but it was not a lot of surprises. Pretty predictable. I hated that Kofi didn't get to have any kind of cool ending attempt. I felt like maybe something was supposed to happen with Kyrie in her elimination too that just didn't end up working. Be fascinated to find out what happened there.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Well, I hope so many of these talents have time to relax, Brad. There were
man.
the Baileys, even main event Jey Uso. There were a lot of talent that spent countless, just there were moves, there were 30 minutes, 40 minutes that people spent in these Rumble matches. They're an absolute grind. I hope they get time to recover and relax. And I know a way to help them do that. It's a new year, which means new resolutions. One of mine is to spend more time outside, relaxing, away from screens and around the people I love. Grand Patio is helping me do that, Brad. For over 20 years, they've partnered with internationally renowned designers to create collections that are equal parts luxurious and livable. The kind that can transform your backyard into a personal oasis that plays host to life's most special moments. Grand Patio uses the best factories, offers handcrafted products from some of the world's most talented designers, and of course, prioritizes sustainability. Their products include umbrellas, recliners, gazebos, sectionals, and much more. Visit our affiliate link, grandpatio.sjv.io/gipod, to shop their collection today. Once again, that's grandpatio.sjv.io/gipod.
Backslash got me.
It's the backslash. I don't know if I, gotta let
Well,
people know.
backslash is back hose. It's time to dig deeper, so play the music. Okay, this week, Tyler, just no transition Jones. We're moving on. We're at $110. Okay, the big takeaway. They were digging over by the swamp on the old paved road. They've drained the swamp, dug it up. They're digging into the road now itself, the road that they used to get in and out of the island from. And they found more stuff. Initially, they found all of this pottery that was down there. They think it's probably from the 1600s. They're not sure yet, but a lot of pottery, like a lot, not usually they're finding little pottery fragments. They're finding basically whole bowls and whole jars, and it's pretty incredible stuff, along with some wood, and then eventually a whole bunch of peat. Peat was initially discovered there around 60 years ago, believed to be a barrier wall to prevent water coming into the swamp, while they filled it with land to kind of connect the two islands together. They do believe that it is a man-made swamp, or at least the rumors are starting to become less likely to be rumors while they keep finding artifacts. It's still wild. Some other stuff happened during this episode, but my question for you: digging and investigating and pots and all of that stuff, did you have an archaeology or a paleontology phase of your childhood?
Not an exceptional one. No, I had this gimmick where I would collect rocks as
Yes.
a kid. So my grandmother,
Yep.
my grandmother, my mom,
Freya's there now. Yeah.
beautiful. I love
Yeah.
Freya. My dad's mom lived with us during a decent portion of my childhood, and so she would stroll me, around the neighborhood, and we would come home with these big boulders, Brad. Not even like pocket-sized rocks. Like I would request that this amazing 76-year-old woman would pick up a boulder and stroll back with me and one, if not several boulders. It was a whole thing. And I don't know that I had any sort of grand plans with them or were interested in learning about the different types of rocks or the history
Sure.
or any of that. It was just something about, I just saw it. It looked cool. It felt cool, and I wanted it. And we grabbed it from all around the neighborhood. So not really, but I did have a rock phase where our backyard was just full of these very random boulders. How about you?
Yes, absolutely. But mine was more about dinosaurs. I did also have a treasure hunting phase where we would like bury a treasure and then make a map and pretend to find the treasure and dig it up. And we found it. We found it. It was a lot of fun. We also had a sandbox at my neighbor's house that we would use all the time, and we would load up the Tonka trucks, the big old metal dump trucks, and and play with those and those things. Freya likes to collect rocks, but she got this giant discovery uh, dig site thing for Christmas, and very, very messy, very dirty, black hands like crazy. I think they just used charcoal to make the whole thing. But it's a very messy dig. And inside of it were legitimate fossils, like legit old fossil shell type fossils. So like in a great abundance. It's not like it's like, oh yeah, there's the raptor foot. It's I found mostly sea life and like a trilobite or something. And pretty cool. I was thinking about that and like how fascinating that would be. And I would probably thrive in an environment like that where I just have to painstakingly sweep and do that task because I hyper focus. I think I would love doing something like that. And I thought about my childhood and I thought that would be a good question to ask. But speaking of questions, at $1:15, let's get into AEW talk. This is going to be a 2-hour episode, I'm convinced.
Yeah, we need to, man. I know this
Yeah.
week was largely about WWE, the good, the bad, and the reprehensible. But yeah, absolutely, we need to discuss AEW, and I do have a question for you.
All right.
I want to talk about the Virtuosa. Deonna Purrazzo is one of my biggest winners from last week. Since debuting in AEW, she's picked up wins, declared her intention of defeating, dare I say, dethroning Toni Storm, and really just been presented as the immense star she is. Now, I want to list some names for you. Serena Deeb, Athena, and Taya Valkyrie. All members of the women's roster who were presented as big signings, debuting with a ton of momentum, eventually losing title matches, and seemingly either getting moved a few notches down the card or disappearing from AEW TV entirely. Question: what do you think of Deonna's presentation thus far? And if she loses to Timeless Tony at Revolution on March 3rd, what would you like to see from her next?
I'd like to see her go after the TBS belt. I understand what it's there for the younger stars, but who cares? Like, just go get it and build it up again. Like, Julia's doing a great job, but who's she wrestling? So I'd like her always in that picture. But to your point, well, Serena Deeb was injured and almost died. So a little different.
Some complicating factors.
Yeah.
And speaking of, she's back, which is awesome. So happy to see her back on Collision.
So I think Tony might have been onto something with Athena and Taya Valkyrie going to ROH. I know they're presented as big deals, but that division's real good over there at ROH. And they've been putting on some really compelling stuff, especially backstage with Dalton Castle, Taya Valkyrie with Johnny TV. I have no problem with that happening. I never thought of Taya Valkyrie as the same level of star as some of the other people, but she obviously should be on TV more. I don't think she's Toni Storm. I don't think she's Jamie Hayter. I don't think she's a person that you didn't mention, and that's Britt Baker, who has been just gone and, from what I understand, healthy and just waiting. So for Britt Baker not to be in that conversation, and maybe they're waiting for Jamie to come back so they can come back together and finally have their match, because we know that that's where that was going to go and it just never happened. So maybe that's what's happening. I don't know. Deonna versus everybody. That's what I would like. I would put her in a long feud with Serena Deeb, put her in a long feud with somebody else. I think we get used to the one-offs and not realizing that feud can be just as good without a title. We saw evidence of it last night. Jade staring down Bianca was all we needed. It's all we needed. And the crowd went nuts. Rock Hogan is a different story, but there was no belt on the line. And that match isn't good, but the moment is incredible. So if they can do something where we have a best of 5 or whatever, and now we're bringing back the ranking system. So
yes, we are.
So now the matches actually matter. So I think it'll be easier to get her in that picture if she loses, because her next story can simply be, I want to be number 1 contender and I'm going to work my way back up. Easy. And it makes sense and it'll be fine. But I'd like to see her. I like the best ofs. I'd love to see that for her.
That would be perfect for her character.
Yeah.
I didn't mention
The Virtuosa versus the Professor. Come on.
Come on, it has to happen now. I didn't
Yeah.
mention Ruby Soho, but I think
Yes.
she was also she's been in that situation before where she came in uh, just amazing, great build, got the title match right away, and then after losing, where was she? Was it meaningful? So I love that idea, but I didn't have an answer prepared for this. I'm gonna borrow yours. That would be an awesome, a best of series, a future feud with Serena Deeb, not even needing a title. I think that'd be fantastic.
Awesome. It would be awesome.
Yeah.
Have the last match.
Now.
You know it's going to be like best of 5, but they'll be even at 5. Like 2 and 2, and then have the 5th one at Revolution or wherever it is. That could be a ton of fun. I like good wrestling, and I like it when it makes sense. It doesn't have to have a huge story. It just has to be sensical for me. That's why I like AEW, is because it's so different than WWE. WWE can do the nonsensical stuff, and they can just sort of make matches out of thin air. And I didn't like when AEW tried to do it, because that's not what AEW is. I like the alternative because I like both companies. I just like differences. Give me different things. My question for you, man, WWE and the Netflix deal, which we also didn't talk about. WWE signed a deal with Netflix. Lots happened this week, man. $5 billion for 10 years with Netflix, which brings Raw to Netflix. People are already saying Netflix and Raw instead of Netflix and Chill. Here's the big thing that takes away from it. Number one, WWE Raw, Monday Night Raw, Raw is War, whatever you want to call it. Longest running weekly television show of all time. Of all time, leaving TV. That's weird. Okay. It takes it off TV, but it immediately and instantly upon that date, which is a year from now, makes it global exposure and access to anybody with Netflix in their territories. So my question for you is, if AEW does something similarly, jumps on Max or maybe something that's a little bit more far reaching, what do you want to see that's different than what WWE does that makes it a more AEW approach?
Wow. I was laughing at first because, yeah, we didn't talk about the Netflix deal so much.
So much happened.
I mean, that's what, when it's good news, that's what's so great about wrestling, is that it's just, there are very few episodes we come on here, very few Sundays, Brad, where we come on here and don't know what to discuss in wrestling. In terms of your question, I'm going to hope to continue speaking the AEW Max deal into existence. I would not like to pay $50 for all pay-per-views for them moving forward. So fingers crossed. In terms of the presentation of it, I think it will really be, what is their additional programming they offer that can be different than WWE, or maybe even something WWE's attempted, but AEW takes even further. I really enjoyed that. What was it? AEW 24? Oh, AEW All Access.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. I wasn't kind of sold on it at first, but I really enjoyed that programming. I think if they could continue to look for ways for not only, check out Dynamite or check out the pay-per-views on Max, but focusing on that supplementary programming, I think that's a way they could really differentiate themselves. And of course, continue doing you have the turnbuckle camera shot, you have other elements, you sort of zoom out. I know the Royal Rumble had a lot of drone shots, maybe even a little too much for my taste, frankly, but AEW, with the way they kind of zoom out of the traditional ring shot, I think if they can continue to look for those unique elements and again focus on that additional programming, some new content, some fresh content, I think that'll be a nice way to create something that feels not like a replica of WWE.
I think that's a great shout. I totally forgot about that show. All Access was fun.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah,
so did I.
And bring in some people that maybe aren't traditional weekly wrestling viewers, kind of like, I don't know, Total Divas did for WWE. I know Total Divas and All Access aren't the same, but you know what I mean.
No, but we don't have a lot of that stuff, that behind the scenes stuff. It's like, we got Dark Side of the Ring. Do we really want to do that all the time? No, thanks.
I can't handle. I can
No,
always handle it.
the
Not
Vince
this week.
McMahon one's going to be
Not this
crazy
week.
though.
And that Vince
Um,
McMahon Netflix
that's gonna.
doc that was
That's
in the
coming.
works with Bill Simmons
Is that
group.
even going to happen now? Like, they're going to have to make some audibles and refresh it a little bit
I don't
if
know,
they
man.
release it.
I think
And
it will be, but I
will they? They just signed a $5 billion deal with the company. Do you shit on the founder of the company? Like, it's so complicated now that they signed that deal, I have 0% faith that will be an unbiased documentary. I feel like it'll be really sanitized and really gross. And it'll be like one of those, we had to work to get the F out. We needed to rebrand and change with the times. It's like, you got sued. You got sued by a panda. And then you had to change your company name because you got sued by a panda because you're stupid. So, like, don't be saying just the revisionist history through that company. The company's history of revisionist history makes me think they're just going to sanitize it like they did before. I don't care who's in power. I don't see how they possibly go, yeah, we got this new deal and this new partnership. Let's let them crap all over us. And that makes me really not want to watch or care about it. Unless TKO goes, you got the green light to do it. He's not here anymore. But he's so tied in the history of WWE. I don't know how I don't know, man.
Yeah.
What I do know is that everybody likes flowers. So it's time for a rose from Tyler. So let's play the music.
And now, for a rose from GI's most eligible bachelor.
I can't wait for this one. I'm going to make sure we don't go the full 2 hours, Brad. So I am going to get right into it. You're right. Season 28 of The Bachelor debuted. We have some front runners, specifically one front runner I want to give a shout out to. Daisy really set herself apart this week. She's the 25-year-old account exec from Minnesota. She is officially the front
Minnesota
runner.
there, yeah.
Minnesota. She received, and we have some good friends from Minnesota. I don't think I've ever been there, but
shout out Rob.
Yeah. Just when the weather is better, it's the Arizona blood in me. I couldn't do a winter. But Daisy, like many of our good friends from the wonderful state of Minnesota, she is the front runner. According to a poll that we put out at GI Pod 19, she received 90% of the votes. She is someone to keep an eye on. The twins from Philly, who I told you about last week, they are still in it. They both got roses. And there was lots of time during this season premiere dedicated to them vying for Joey. So I think that's going to be a gimmick for us to keep an eye on. Again, they neither have any shot of being the last woman standing, but it's a storyline they're building, and I think we're going to get more of it this week. Finally, Kyra, one of my top 3 picks, went home. So that was sad, but
dang.
I know. We're going to see what happens. But here is my question, though, Brad. I'm thinking about the season premiere and we've spoken about this before in some capacity, the sort of rules of dating and how you express interest in someone and just how you make this happen. I have a personal situation I've been waiting to tell you about. So this is fresh. Again, this is the theme of I just save stuff for the show, Brad, because we are that dedicated to our audience and to our content. There has been an ongoing matchmaker situation at work for me. This is an absolute shoot. There is a colleague from a different college within ASU who has decided to play matchmaker for myself and one of her colleagues. So she set up, I'm looking at your reaction. She set up this lunch for the 3 of us very recently. And we ended up going to this pizzeria, an equidistant pizzeria, since the 3 of us are kind of spread out amongst different campuses. And she was really brilliant, the matchmaker, because she stayed for about the first 40 to 45 minutes of the lunch and then left early. Very shrewd matchmaking. So here's the situation, Brad. The 2 of us ended up finishing lunch together. Great conversation, lots of similarities. I ended up paying for the meal. See, I'm working, man. I'm trying to be the best version of me. I ended up paying for the meal, and then we gave a hug and said, yeah, hope to see you again, etc. So a few days pass and the matchmaker reaches out to me and says, hey, I just wanted to like snoop a little bit and check in and see, what did you think of her? What did you think of the lunch? And I said, oh, she's awesome. Like really great combo and et cetera, et cetera. And here's my question for you. I told her, because she said, she thinks highly of you too, and it was a good time. And she says you seem confident. It's like, oh, wow, cool. So what I told her was, hold up, though. I paid for the lunch, and in our Slack group, our DM group at work, I provided my phone number ahead of time because I said, hey, I don't have Slack on my phone. I don't want to have a work app on my phone. Here's my number. I'm leaving to meet you all at the restaurant. So I paid for the lunch. I sent the LinkedIn request, and she has my number. So what I told the matchmaker was, I think it's on the other party now to decide if they would like to connect further. My question, am I a jerk or am I absolutely right?
That's a tough one, man. I don't know. Okay, so number one, I think you probably have a point here. You paid for it. You provided the number. You're allowing them to come to you. But here's the next part.
Oh no, there's a but. I'm listening.
Your matchmaker said that you seemed confident.
Mm-hmm. That the woman told her that I seemed confident. That the date that I.
No, I know, but she relayed to you.
She did relay it to me. Yes.
One of the things that your date said was you seemed confident.
Mm-hmm.
Do confident people wait for other people to text?
My confidence is a facade.
She might be waiting. She might be waiting for that text to come through because you paid. You took a role in that brief relationship that was, I am kind of leading us to this point, and now you're no longer leading. And I know what you're thinking. You did a lot of leading. You should let her want to get to you. And in other words,
she has my number. I don't have her number. She has my number, no question about it. She gets.
Well, okay, hold on then. If that's the case, then it's over. Like, you have to wait for her. You can't be like,
okay, thank you. That's
a totally different story. I didn't realize you didn't have her.
Yeah.
I thought maybe she provided it in the Slack as well.
No.
Yeah. Well, how the hell are you supposed to get a hold of her if you don't do that? So yeah.
And it's weird because like on Facebook, like she doesn't have the add friend feature. I don't know if it's just a user error or what the deal is, but I don't see a way to add her. But I sent the LinkedIn request. She approved it. That's the key ingredient, man, is I provided my number ahead of time. I didn't even do it strategically, but I guess it turned out to be pretty smooth of me. I gave them my number ahead of time to say, hey, like, I'm driving there and I'll see you soon. I've never been to this restaurant before, but I'll see you soon. Text me if anything comes up. So yeah, the salad was paid for and my number was shared. But it seems like the matchmaker is saying, hey, and I asked her to clarify, not asked her to clarify, I just told her my opinion, and she said that's totally valid. In my experience, women don't want to be presumptuous. I asked another colleague, a different colleague, unrelated, and she said there's this thing called female energy. And so women, I think they don't want to be presumptuous, and they also perhaps enjoy being courted.
Yes.
In that sense. So I just thought, oh, Brad, I don't know, because I don't want to be presumptuous either. It sounds like you're on my side. I think that's all I needed from today in this 2-hour recording. You're validating me. You're giving me the affirmation.
This is what I'm.
And now we play the waiting game. We're not on the Bachelor. We don't know how this goes. No. We just play the waiting game.
I have absolutely no idea what to do in your situation. I would feel lost and scared. And good luck. That's what I have for you. Is I would be sitting in the fetal position somewhere, thinking far too much about what to do next, and not having a good time. It is noisy in my head, and I wouldn't want any of this. But I hope it works out however it's supposed to work out, and I know that will happen. Even if you're met with stunning silence, we'll find out. Keep us up to date. We're gonna need to know, and hopefully she's like, I gotta check this guy out a little bit more, and she made it to $133 to find out. So
it's quite possible. I probably did mention the podcast. I don't. Maybe I did. To be continued. But thank you, my friend. You know I appreciate you immensely. We did it. It's time to get into what did we miss? Brad, did we miss anything?
Probably. It doesn't feel like we did because we went an hour and 33 minutes. And that's before editing. So I'm sure this thing is going to be $140 by the time we're done here. What we missed.
Yeah. Talk to me.
Man, there was so much stuff that happened this week that I'm not sure that it's possible to know what we missed. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I think we did a good job of confronting all of the news.
I think so. I really believe we did. And that being said, I have a quick list for us. NXT Vengeance Day is this Sunday. TNA Wrestling. I really am enjoying the presentation of Ash by Elegance, formerly known as Dana Brooke. I'm kind of keeping my eyes on what she's going to do there. Also, Nick Nemeth made his in-ring debut. Good stuff. Point number 3, America's Most Wanted starring John Walsh is back.
Cool.
I really like that show. I'll tell you more in another episode, Brad. I have a big affinity for it from my childhood. And yeah, I'm excited. Episode 1 was really good. And then finally, the biggest news, the biggest update I have, Peelcast is officially returning this year.
Let's go.
Yes, the rumors are true. The trailer for Monkey Man, Dev Patel and Jordan Peele's, it seems like, version of John Wick hits the big screen on April 5th. So please stay tuned. I'm super excited to get that going again.
Yeah, can't wait for it, man.
Good stuff. Well, if you made it to this point, as Brad alluded to, thank you so much. Your love, your support, your ears, your eyes, it means the world to us. If you haven't heard, you can find our articles on wrestling, pop culture, and more by visiting gimmickinfringementpod.com. We thank you for being here, and we hope you'll join us again for the next edition of GI. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.